The global pandemic has changed wine marketing forever, and the old ways of reaching the trade aren't as efficient or effective as they once were. If you're a producer or region looking to reach more people with less effort and have been affected by travel restrictions and uncertainty, register for one of my upcoming free wine marketing digital roundtables at interpretingwine.com/roundtable. I'm Lawrence Francis, host of Interpreting Wine, the place to learn from thought leaders in the world of wine and marketing, welcoming you back to the London Somm Special series. We are exploring 3 very different London wine-led venues, talking with wine buyers and sommeliers in each venue about their wine programs and careers in the industry. And we close out this series today in the company of Alice Ward, General Manager at the Tap and Bottle in London Bridge. In what is a return to a venue opening episode, which I haven't done for a while, we get to really understand the decisions Alice has taken in establishing this as an incredibly welcoming wine venue in just a few short months. We kick things off with Alice's origin story and influences in the industry, before she gives us a virtual tour of both the area where Tap and Bottle is located as well as the venue itself. We delve into the decisions she's made to create a venue in its own right, talk Tap and Bottle Tastes events, marketing, food and suppliers, and she looks ahead for the next stage of Tap and Bottle in 2022. Enjoy.
I'm Alice Ward, at Wardy Wines on Instagram. I found, when did I get the wine bug? It's hard to say really, because I've always loved wine. I've been in hospitality for about 10 years now. I first moved to London around 10 years ago and joined the hospitality trade straight away, mainly focusing on events and food and beverage side of events. And I worked for the Lord Mayor at Mansion House for quite some time. And then I moved over to a private members club looking after all things food and beverage and events related, but alongside completing my WSET level 2 and working close with the chef to create meals and supper clubs, things like that. And that's sort of where I sort of began to fall in love with wine. And then, so I've unfortunately that club closed down during COVID after working there for 6 years. So I decided to venture into the wine world, and I got introduced to 3 amazing young French guys up in North London, and I worked with them for a year, gaining more knowledge. And then now I'm on to my new exciting project of Tap and Bottle Wine Bar in London Bridge.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a sort of a, obviously a condensed version of the story. But I think something that's always a little bit interesting. You said that you kind of moved to London. Like where you were before. Where was that? And was there kind of much wine influence for you, kind of growing up, really?
Yeah, well, I mean, not really. As in, my family have never They drink wine. We're big drinkers, us family, but never actually, the wine side of things. I'm from a little village called Bagshot near Ascot, so I the only sort of wine focused things I grew up with was the Ascot race courses every year, showing off of champagne, but nothing too wine related. It was when I first moved to London. I was actually working for Brown's Bar and Brasserie back then. And it was a really beautiful building. It was the one in Mayfair and Winston Churchill's Taylor's. And I just started getting involved with the wine list straight away, really.
Brilliant. Yeah. And I love how you've already sort of, I guess started to weave in, some of the history, I guess, of the places that you've worked. Is that something that's kind of interesting to you, to kind of find out a bit about, and be drawn to places that have got that history, really?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the private dining room at this place on Maddox Street at Brown's, it's still Brown's now, was actually where Winston Churchill got tailored. So it was really, really nice, and it was quite a good way to sort of sell the private dining room to people, because it was just very beautiful with conservatory style glass and all green, greenery, green paint, and very traditional like leather seats and stuff. It was really, really lovely. But again, with Mansion House, it was just an absolutely fantastic building. I've enjoyed many times working, running a livery dinners there and stuff, and I do really like the history of buildings and working in the city. It was really amazing. And, actually the cellar at this place was huge. It was like bigger than my flat. It was really, really nice. And getting to know what, the history of buildings and stuff, as well as, actually doing hospitality. It's been lots of fun as well.
Yeah. And I think that's for me as well. And we'll probably get onto it. I think it's one of the really interesting things about wine is that, in a lot of regions, they've got that history. And yeah, if you're interested in history or in anything, geology, geography, all of these things, then you can often find those things almost kind of like captured in a bottle of wine, almost like a little time capsule of where they were made and who made them, really, which is, I think, really interesting thing for me.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've always said, as soon as I started getting my love for wine, and it's always about the bottle and where it comes from, and where, the winemaking behind it, the terroir, the climate, everything. It all starts from just something so small as a grape, and then it just can create history in terms of family, in terms of the area, the appellation. And it's always been something that I'm really fascinated about. For me, it's definitely with wine about the story behind it, and not necessarily the reputation of the chateau, but more of these new producers and all these, the new world, and, getting back into ancient world wines as well, where like stories began, which is really good.
Yeah, amazing. And we'll definitely get into that a little bit more. But I wonder, you mentioned there around, the sort of the impact of COVID, which I think, will be obviously been felt by everyone who's listening, basically, to some degree or other. And maybe before we get onto tap and bottle, maybe just take us a little bit inside that experience that you mentioned with those young French guys in North London, because it sounds as though that was really almost right at the start of COVID, really, if I've got my timelines correct.
Yeah, so I was put onto furlough from the private members club. It was the H Club at Covent Garden. It was amazing. It was I think it was just time for the investors, because they were over in America, to sort of let go. I don't think it was really COVID related, but that's just between you and I guess. Well, and everyone else now, but so it was just a decision made over in America. Yeah. So obviously everyone got made redundant, but I got introduced from a guy that I used to know working there, that I've worked freelance a lot of events for, to this guy that he played football with. And he just sort of said, we're looking for someone to join our team. And this guy happened to be one of the French owners at Authentique in North London. And so I thought, I'll go. And I met the general manager, Harry, there. And he said, come on board. And it was just, I would say it was 2020, October time, September, October time when I started. So it was when furlough was starting to stop the first time, the initial lockdown, after the first lockdown. It's a French epicerie selling French products, French wine, French jams, honeys, things like that, all things that you can't really get anywhere. It was very, very, very popular actually in North London. And then it was also a wine bar in the evenings. But then the second lockdown hit, and so we had to close the bar, obviously. And then I was just working in the epicerie. But actually, I think one out of a few people of London that managed to open a new business in COVID was these French guys, because they opened a brand new bakery and French epicerie and a wine cellar in Totteridge near High Barnet. And so I went over to help them open the new site. That's when I met a gentleman called Yuri, who used to work for Mandarin Oriental and Koya, and he's a big wine buyer, and he was probably my biggest mentor out of everyone. But it was yeah, it was a big challenge opening, and that's when I sort of stepped aside from hospitality because it was COVID, and we spent the whole of the remainder of lockdown with this bakery and a French epicery, which was amazing. I was learning about wine every day, selling wine, learning about French products, and just getting a big passion for wine. And Yuri, the general manager there, and he would actually we would always actually just order wine for ourselves from our suppliers, and that it would never be French. It would always be finding the new gems of the new world and stuff. So that's probably where the beginning of my actual career in wine started.
That's always something that comes up, in these types of conversations, and I think it comes up for me as well. I think you always remember the person or the group of people that you feel kind of really like takes you under their wing to a degree, and of course that's always like fun with wine, isn't it? Because that what that actually ultimately will look like is having different wines in the glass, having a deeper understanding of where they've come from, and then just trying them together and maybe playing around with food matching and it can be just a really fun introduction, can't it?
Yeah, no, definitely. These guys, the French guys and Yuri, they definitely took me under their wing. They saw the passion that I had and the motivation and how I wanted to completely sort of step back from events operations and really go into the wine world. And we'd finish our shift and, the guys would be like, Alice, what do you want to open today? So I'd look at the shelves and be like, okay, well, what should I get? And what have I not seen before? Do I like the label of this bottle or do I like the story behind this? Because I would always try something different because I can't stand selling a bottle of wine to someone if I haven't tried it.
But
it was fun to play around with trying different wines and matching it with all the different types of French foods and that kind of stuff. It was really good.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. And, it also sounds as though, sort of a bit of a game that didn't really have any wrong answers, right? Pointing out different wines and you're just like, okay, what's kind of speaking to me today? It's like, okay, this is going to be a great learning experience, either way. And I think, sometimes, finding out and even just like, putting into words why you like something or maybe why you prefer one thing to another, I just think it's this good practice. And again, it's just, it's fun and always growing your knowledge base, isn't it? So I can see that could be a really, like formative and, kind of insightful experience to just sort of, slip into the world of wine.
Yeah. I mean, it's such a big world. And I think, a gentleman that worked at Authentique called Lazaros, he was also a big inspiration to me. He told me the most important thing to remember going into the wine world is that the wine world is forever changing and there's so many things to learn, that there's so many appellations and vineyards and wineries and stuff that are not on the map, are on the map, and to not let yourself get too buried under and just to keep going and always learning something new every day, which is what keeps you motivated and keeps you like passionate, because there's always something to learn and there's always somewhere new to explore.
Yeah, amazing. So let's I guess move the story forward really. I guess sort of talk about that transition from working in the bakery and what you've just described there, through to now. How did you first come across the opportunity at Tap and Bottle? Yeah, take us back to those sort of early days.
So I completed my WSET level 3 just towards the end of the last lockdown, and I wasn't actively looking for a job at all. I was having an amazing time with the French guys and with Yuri, and but a guy that my old boss from the H Club, who's a good friend of another gentleman that used to work at the H Club but now works the London Venue Group as the finance director, he knew there was someone looking for someone to come in and take over the Tap and Bottle wine bar in London Bridge on Union Street, and just make it its own identity really, because it opened in 2017. And it never really had its true identity, I feel, and
Mm-hmm.
sort of they just wanted someone to come in and completely take over and have that passion in wine and create a little wine bar and make it its own thing, basically. So I just went to go have a look at it, and as soon as I walked in, I just thought, oh, this is exactly where I want to be. It was an amazing project. Open brick walls, beautiful wooden flooring in this old Georgian house, wood everywhere. It was absolutely stunning building, and I just could imagine the potential that it had for tastings, for masterclasses.
Yeah.
For getting people in for a glass of wine. I just had to take that opportunity up. It was a good next step for me.
Yeah, I obviously, well, not obviously, but I've been to the site. I came down earlier this week, and I think it would be great to, in a sense, kind of give people, a little bit of an orientation, maybe actually starting with the like wider neighborhood, and maybe even like Union Street and the sort of area out front, because that felt very. Yeah, it felt like an interesting place to me, and a place again with a lot of history potentially. So I wonder if you'd mind just sort of orientating the listeners to what is that street kind of like? What is the immediate area like around outside? Yeah,
sure. So it's Union Street is sort of just under the arches of London Bridge. The big arches. That's what's quite nice about the terrace we have, because between 6 and 9 minutes we get a nice train go over us. I
free
think
massage.
I think it's the essence of the terrace, but some people beg to differ. But so we have the Lupin's beautiful restaurant next door, also owned by the same gentleman that owns Tap and Bottle, and it's getting busy. There's a few local pubs around the area, nice little island cafes. And then it's only less than 5-minute walk from Borough Market, which obviously is a big impact on my wine and cheese and antipasti offering. I guess it's the history behind Borough as well, and all these buildings. And I think because I get a few locals that pop by that have lived in Borough and around London Bridge for years and years, and they've said it's changed so much. And before, Borough Market was, more of a like Oliver Twist kind of vibe, but now it's very much boutique and niche.
Yeah, it's more polished now, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely. You can get oysters. But it's really, really nice around there. It's a nice area, and it's getting really busy now. I think people have decided to not work from home every day. So busy, and it's a nice atmosphere around there. A mixture of local offices and people that have been there all their lives, and awesome tourists that are popping by because it's close to the Shard. There's a lot of like monumental points around there that people come to have a look. So it's a nice area. I like it.
I must admit, I think the other thing that really kind of, as well as the area around it, Tap and Bottle, I think the other thing that intrigued me as well was just the entrance as well. As I say, it was kind of my first time going there, and it was just interesting because I think, on the ground floor, there may be, is it the other restaurant that you were talking about there? But for Tap and Bottle, you have to go up the stairs, don't you? You go straight up.
Yeah, so we're hidden. We do have a lovely chalkboard outside the front, but I like that we're hidden a little bit. So you walk straight through, and we actually share part of the building with Flatiron Square at the moment. It's it's like a food arch area, also owned by London Venue Group, and so Lupin's is next door, and some people are looking for Lupin's, and vice versa. So, but you walk straight through the corridor, and you go straight up the staircase, and the spiral staircase almost, and then you get to the first floor, which is the entrance to Tap and Bottle, and then we've actually then inside got our own staircase at the back to go up to a little snug as well that we're in. It's got good potential for our events and private hire if people like as well. Yeah,
there is just something about that as well that is, as you say, a little bit hidden. I think it kind of, Yeah, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just something you got to be a little bit more intentional. It's people are like, they're going there, and they know what they want. They want, I think, a decent wine, and something a little bit different, maybe something a little bit that's not so obvious, which I think was also the nice thing about the site and the area as well.
Yeah, definitely. Because I mean, I think what's important, you can get all these speakeasy bars when you have to, go for a toilet or, call a random phone or knock on a door in Chinatown or whatever.
Say the password,
yeah, and all of that. But I think with wine bars, I think it's so important to want to get the clientele and the people walking through the door that just want to try something different. Or have heard about the place, so that's why they know where it is. You're not Googling wine bar London Bridge and you can stumble upon it. You'll come back because you'll have a great time with us, definitely, but it's all about getting people here that want to learn about a new wine or try a new wine or just the atmosphere. I mean, it really is a hidden little building, and even like the terrace in the summer is absolutely beautiful because it's in London Bridge under the train arch, a nice little terrace which you were sat on the other day, which I think's nice little atmosphere, and it's all about getting people to want to come back and creating that rapport with people, and hoping to get the same people coming back all the time is my aim with the wine list as well.
Amazing. So I think the part of the story I'd kind of, and I think it's hopefully going to be interesting for you as well, kind of given how far you've come, is really kind of to take you back to really, I guess, day one, really, when you say this challenge of, giving Tap and Bottle its own identity is there. But still, I guess there's still a moment where it's like, okay, this is day one. This is where I start. Yeah, just take us back to, I guess, some of those early days, and what was sort of, I guess, in a sense, like what were like the low hanging fruit to kind of change, and then what were the things that you kind of then focused on once those immediate priorities had been sort of met.
Yeah, so when I first started, there was a quite a simplified wine list. It was just on a printed piece of paper, but that was because of during COVID when they were open, they had to sort of limit the access of like actual menus and whatnot. Very limited, and then there was some staff that were not so much sommeliers, I wouldn't say, but they were hardworking, and it was the main thing for me when I got in there was to create a team and the wine list, because for me the product is key. If you don't know the product, then there's no really unique selling point for any place. So I went straight away, and I'd sort of let a few suppliers that I knew already know that I was starting a new adventure. So for the first few weeks, I was just tasting wine. It was great. I was having suppliers come down, and I was going to wine bars, and I was just exploring. I had a sort of an idea that I wanted to do everything by the glass to begin with until I get my little black book. But so it was more trying to figure out what type of wine list I wanted. Did I want to split it with by grape? Did I want to split it by region? And then I just thought, I love New World wine. I love Old World wine. And I love ancient world wine. So I'm going to split the wine list by eras almost.
Yeah.
But it was quite challenging in the beginning, obviously just after COVID, when not a lot of people knew about the place, and which is as I said before, I quite like that now, because I want to get those people here that really want to experience the wines. But it was a challenge when it was a lot quieter. But it was perfect for me to focus on training and building a team.
Yeah.
For the first sort of couple months, I was a lone ranger. Working on my own each night. Sort of just keep the building going. Obviously, there was a big shortage of staff. It's still happening of hospitality staff. Actually, they are non-existent gold dust at the moment. But I managed to eventually find a gentleman called Giuliano. He's my assistant manager. He's brilliant. He's come from Foxfine Wines, from Moorgate, and it was great. So getting him on board was a real big turn for me because it allowed me to concentrate back on the wine list and other things as well. And then we changed the whole of the food menu and the food offering. And we're sort of been going bit by bit, really. Every week I get some wine in. And but I think the biggest challenge was having sort of that team, knowing the product and that kind of thing. But that's where we're at now, which is really good because you should be able to walk in and hopefully my guys will be able to recommend their favourite wine of the day and that kind of thing as well. So.
Yeah, that's it. It's kind of baked into the cake, as it were, and you can have a night off, which is which is always good.
You can visit a wine bar, not on a Sunday when they're all closed.
Exactly, and it's I love these types of conversations. Because I haven't done one exactly like this for a little while, like talking to somebody who's like opened somewhere quite recently. But I remember back to, when was it now? 2018, I think it was. And, going down to Leroy and speaking with Ed Thor down there.
Sure.
And I remember something that he said really stood out. He was like, okay, we're in it was a new venue for them. It was a new part of town. And, such a big thing for them was kind of like meeting their new people. I think they kind of almost, they knew they didn't have the wine list done, but they were like, okay, let's put it together in conversation with the people that come in and are kind of attracted in. And I wonder if, did you have a similar kind of process? Because even though it sounds as though, the name and the venue maybe didn't change, but the approach, the ethos, the identity completely changed. So was it also important to kind of, meet those new people that the kind of, the new way forward, or the new rebirth or whatever we call it of Tap and Bottle was then attracting?
Yeah, so the whole ethos of the whole tap wine remained. I kept 7 wines by the tap. I changed supplier to a really good one, and it's a very good product and stuff. But I did have a conversation with a couple of the exec team once at a drinks celebration we held for Ben, our CEO, and they did say, "Oh, do you want to change the name?" And I thought, interesting. It could be the bar with no name, or it could be, is this my chance to make it the speakeasy I do not like? So there's kind of the identity with that I kept because that was sort of like not my main priority. My priority was obviously creating the wine list and creating that the customers that come in and the people that don't love wine, don't know anything, know loads, and just making it a comfortable place for everyone. But I'm still constantly, always, when I see the same guys come in, asking if they want to try a new wine. If I got sampled, I'm showing it to people all the time. Like what you saw with Leroy. I think it's important because it's amazing having a wine list that's forever changing and getting all these new wines. But I love a glass of, for example, a glass of Merceau, and I go to Noble Rot, I try it, and then I go back a week later, and if it's not there, I'm like, oh, that's why I came. So not that that's happened, because Noble Rot have the biggest wine list in the world, and all the wines are amazing. But for example, just as an example, that's what I like. So the generic wine list that I have will sort of stay the same for at least a few months, and then I've always got the wines that aren't on the wine list for those that want to try something different every time they come. So I think that's important. But it was the main ways in which we decided on the wines was just asking people, really. Sometimes people would try, sometimes I'd take it home, I'd take it to my sommelier, take some samples to my sommelier friends, and they try to make sure that it wasn't my palate shown on the wine list, and that it was there was wine for everyone, and it was a big variation of wines.
I think what would be really interesting, again, given I guess where we are in terms of October 2021 now, and we're able to have these gatherings and events are sort of back on the menu, and I think people are sort of loving that. It's really just to talk a bit about what was your initial idea with events in the space. You said that you've got a really nice snug there, you know, which is its own separate space for having those events. I'm just wondering again, to maybe take us back to the earlier days. What was the sort of evolution of the events program? How do you think that would fit in with the kind of rest of what you've spoken about?
Yeah, so when I first started, I wasn't looking after the events. There was sort of because there was an event head of events that would book all the slots, and then because obviously Tap and Bottle became its own identity, and once I came in, there was me to do it, and I've got a lot of experience, and my background is events, so it got handed straight over to me. And then because for me, I didn't want the space, even though it was beautiful and a bit of a moneymaker. I didn't want it to become a venue, like an events venue, for people to hire out. And because there's nothing worse than, you know, going to a bar for a nice sophisticated glass of wine and listening to jazz in the background, and then there's a hen party upstairs, you know. So so it was, but I've had some really nice private events that have come and hadn't spent their birthdays, and you know, there've been people that have visited already, or they really love wine, so they come for the wine list. So that's sort of where the focus is for the private hires moving forward. Obviously, I've got a lot of Christmas parties coming up, so I can't wait to serve some mulled wine and mulled cider and get that flowing. But in terms of the internal, I've created a series which is called Tap and Bottle Tastes, and it'll be one a month, and it will be a ticketed event around sort of £25 mark, so not too much at all. And the first one we started was on Tuesday. The first one, and we kicked off with Colonel Brewery, which is not wine at all.
Yeah.
It's the local brewery that I had a few sour beers and double porter and a grisette beer from them. And the gentleman, Rick, that who looks after us, he's from America. He's an amazing guy, really, really cool. And when he came down to see the space, he said that let me know if you ever want to do an event, I'm happy to host. So I thought that I would combine it with natural wines, because a lot of the beers and the fermentation of the sour beers and, you know, the process of indigenous yeasting and all that kind of thing. So we combined with Le Cave, which was really good because Philippe came down and spoke about some natural wines, and we combined it with some dams and sour beers and some pet nats, and then finished off with a double porter. Yeah, it was really, really good. It was a big success. Had some cool people come down. And then, so yeah, the aim is just every month to do something a bit different on theme. And, you know, I chat to my suppliers and my contacts, and the next one's going to be a South African masterclass going from old classic to really young, new producers of South Africa. And that will be hosted by Shane Boyce. He's an absolute legend from Liberty Wines. So that'll be good. And then we've got the Beaujolais Nouveau event, also on Beaujolais Nouveau Day, which is the 18th of November, which is going to be really exciting. I thought I'd get two in because I won't be doing one in December. But that'll be really good, comparing two different Beaujolais Nouveau and the terroir, and, you know, comparing it to a regular Beaujolais as well. But it'll be really good. And then coming January, every month there'll be a Tap and Bottle Tastes, adding to the series, whether we do Austrian wine or, you know, Tasmanian wine is definitely on the list. But yeah, depending on the time of the year as well, and trying to suit it to the seasonal, what's good, and rosé in the summer and that kind of thing.
That's it. And yeah, I've just as you were talking there, I've just headed to your website. So it's Tap and Bottle London, all one word, .co.uk/events. And then I'm seeing here all of what you're talking about there, because obviously, you know, people will be listening to this, you know, at any time into the future. So that's, I guess, the place to see what's coming up, right? What's current.
You can always join the mailing list at the bottom as well. Bottom of the website, you can join the mailing list, and I promise, only once a month. I'm not going to bombard you with emails all the time. And it'll be once a month an update for the new wines we've got in, what we've been doing the last month or so, and all the events coming up, to let people know if they want to book on and that kind of thing. And also, if you go to our Instagram, the link in the bio, you can get hold of looking at all the events that are coming up too.
Okay, no, very, very cool. And I think that that leads, as it always does, very nicely into the next question, really, and something that I guess, is should hopefully as well still be quite fresh in the mind, and as of course that word of mouth to try to get the word out there. But yeah, where have you kind of prioritized your energies in terms of marketing? I mean, is it and maybe a bit about how you've approached email list and
Yeah,
Instagram and anything else really.
Yeah, so when I first started, because I work for the London venue group, I've got a big marketing team behind me, and I said at the beginning, please, hold fire. I don't, because I'm sure they could get people down from, different various places to come and check out the place, but I really wanted to focus on the wine list and the product and the team first, and create a little hub for myself before anything was marketed. And then as soon as I was sort of up and running, ready to go, taking over the Instagram, being a bit more personal and, showing people things about that and new things that are coming up. And then I met with our head of marketing, brilliant guy, David, and he's really helped me to create, show me how to do things on the website and how to make these event tickets on Eventbrite and all these things that, all that sort of marketing that goes behind things. But so I think at the beginning there was like 4 people on the mailing list, and I think I was one of them. So
all your family, all the friends.
Yeah, exactly. But now there's up to 100 people on there. It's really good, and it's just, if I'm having a conversation, I'm chatting about wine and I'm having fun with the guests, and I just sort of say, hey, do you want to join the mailing list and, come and check out the place or come and check out this event that's coming up and stuff. And I feel like I don't think anyone said no so far. So which has been quite good. But I'm quite like an open person, and I love to chat to people. And I think that's what people like about wine bars, is that you can spend, I say to people, I can spend 5 minutes with you, or I could talk to you for 5 hours about wine. It's entirely up to you. I think just, if you meet people and they're having fun and you feel like they have a good evening, then you just get them involved with the Instagram and stuff, because I think Instagram is very important for getting places known. I especially use it all the time. I follow all my favorite wine bars, all my favorite chefs and that kind of thing. So I think it's really important. So I just always talk to people about things like that.
Yeah, amazing. And again, just sort of having a look here, I see you've got still some of the pictures from, I guess the old iteration of Tap and Bottle, right? You've still got a couple of those, but did you sort of wipe out most of those and kind of start with a fresh slate on Instagram as well?
Yeah, so there was a few pictures that we got rid of. Kept the old ones because it's always nice to know where things started off. And there was some good pictures of the building and the actual the bar when it was first set up, which was really, really nice. It's got a bit rustic now, but that's how I like it. But so now I think it's just being about more personal and, thinking ahead of, doing the whole marketing thing and, checking out the algorithms and knowing when to post things and when people on their lunch breaks or, for certain Instagrams, 10 p.m. on a Thursday night is you would never post at that time. But for wine bars, I think you absolutely so it's about getting to know when people are looking at their phones when people are out and, or at a wine bar already or that kind of thing. But I think it's always going to be putting up some stories about, what we're up to, if we're doing deliveries or, like there's new wine coming in and, keeping it nice and personal and just for people to just sort of get a feel for the team and us as wine lovers, really.
Yeah, no, big time. And I think it's it may not have been something that you've had to sort of face, but I think that I think some venues though they they get onto Instagram and they feel like they have to kind of almost be more corporate. I find they feel like they kind of they get into this sort of we're building a brand type way of thinking, and I love that. Yeah, just making it personal and interacting with, ultimately, the 100 people on the mailing list, the how many people that are following you. And the reason is because, I think wine bars, they're very different from other things where you can order remotely, where you can just buy something to be delivered. People actually have to, obvious, but they have to be there. They have to actually physically go to the venue. So that is kind of, I guess, really narrowing down and focusing on the people who you want to attract, really, and people who you want to interact with.
Yeah, I really didn't want it to go down the corporate side, of putting up posts and getting those professional photographers that come in. I mean, it's absolutely great. It's amazing for websites and things like that. But I think for the Instagram, it needs to be really personal and just, I just picture on my iPhone, we set a time and we ran over with our bottles of wine and they're like, quick, there's like the chalkboard outside's got, a nice bit of sun behind it. Let's quick go grab a picture, make it active, not planned. So that's definitely what we're focusing on with our Instagram, just being, and that's also, but also the whole concept of the bar. I don't want people to come in and feel like they're in a really formal place, and it's, we just want to be able to have a chat with people and, talk to people about wine and, explore the world of wine.
Yeah, no, big time. And I think as well, that flows exactly to where I was going really with my next question, which is always good.
Okay.
It was a little bit to kind of relive really a little bit the my experience of coming down there on Wednesday. So it's Friday today. It was just a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
And I went down there with an old friend, having a really nice catch up. And what I loved about the evening was, we pretty much just, put ourselves in your hands, and we knew we were in, very safe and capable hands in terms of, what the wines that we were drinking. I wonder if you wouldn't mind just maybe, taking us through just to kind of, maybe explore the wine list in a little bit more detail.
Yeah.
Like some of the wines that you chose, and, maybe, a little bit, some of the thinking behind that, and maybe what was sort of getting you sort of excited or interested about sharing those wines on the evening.
Yeah, definitely. So obviously when we first spoke, you mentioned that you saw the Sokol Blossel from White Blend from Oregon, and that you'd been over there. So I thought, well, let's start with that because you said it was a nice wine. Yeah,
great producer and lovely people.
Yeah, great. And I mean, it's like really good, like red volcanic soils in these Dundee hills. Really, really nice. And it's it's got some Germanic grapes, the Gewürztraminer, Müller-Thurgau, and then we've also got Chardonnay in there, Semillon. It's a really very aromatic but clean wine. So we thought, perfect way to start off the evening.
Yeah.
And it's best drunk young, that one. It's really good. I really like it. We've also managed to get in some of the red blend actually. Just a couple cases that might not hit the wine list, but it will definitely be in the cupboards, in the cellar. But I thought that was quite nice. And then we moved to was it the Tuscan or the Georgian we went first? Because I know it was the Malbec, the newest addition to my.
I think it was the Malbec after that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think
Malbec,
it was. Yeah, I think it was as well. Which is I went a little rogue with my Malbec, and you get people that come in and say, "Do you have a New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc or an Argentinian Malbec?" And I like to be able to say no, but I do have this and I do have this, and I'm trying to be different and that kind of thing. So I got this 2018 Vicave Tuscan Malbecs from the Antinori family, and it's fantastic. It's really, really nice. It's spent 3 days maceration, cold, and then fermented a week, and then before getting transferred into French and American barriques for malolactic fermentation. And I'm sure you got that in the sort of creaminess that I was describing to you. And from the 10th, it's aged for 9-10 months. But I think it was a little gem that I found, and so I definitely wanted you to try that. And
and I think I said at the time it was the first Malbec I'd had that was from outside of France or Argentina. I think it was, and it felt like it had its own character as well. It didn't feel as though it was sort of trying to copy either one of those. So that
I found that during the evening, I tend to, when I recommend wines to people, this is just sort of thing that I just do myself. I've not told anyone actually.
Yeah.
I actually tend, if I recommend a wine to people, I tend to see how fast they drink the wine. Because if you're having a good wine, then you just can't keep having little sips of it. You can't list, and I found that in the evening, you and your friend you drank this one the quickest. So I was
Oh,
quite
really?
yeah. I wasn't timing you. I wasn't trying to get you intoxicated, but I tend to find what I watch people and see how fast they drink the wines, and I think this is the fastest one for you.
That's it. What's that?
Yeah.
What's that saying? The best wine is the one you don't talk about, and is the empty glass.
Exactly.
Or the empty bottle.
Like when you're sat down at the dinner table and everyone's in silence, and you're like, "Oh, I nailed it!" Yeah, exactly.
I love it. Yeah, no, very cool, very cool. It's all still fresh in the mind, which is
good.
Great.
Really
it might be a bit fresher for you in the mind actually than me.
Maybe, yeah. I'm just going to put my list, and I all my this took them 30 seconds. This took them 2 minutes. No, I'm joking. But after that, we went to the Georgian wines. We did have the 100% Negrette. Which I found was quite nice. It's not on the wine list, but I had a tasting of it the day before, so it was great because it perfectly opened up by the time you arrived.
Yeah.
So, that was the 100% Negrette, which Negrette is a grape that not a lot of people know about, actually. It's from southwest of France, and I would describe it best. It's sort of like sits sort of around the Cabernet Sauvignon with the herbaceous and floralness, but I think it's just a little bit lighter, and I really like it. And I got told by a gentleman working at the French place in North London. I got told by an actual customer, actually, and they said, "Oh, if ever you see 100% Negrette, you should drink it." And I was like, "Okay."
Again, it was first 100% Negrette, and it was lovely. I think we were sort of maybe. I think we were then just about to order food when we had that, and I think actually just before the Georgian wines, we had an Austrian wine, didn't we? Because I think we had a Pinot Blanc.
It was the not skin tact, but slightly skin contact. You could be classed it as a white wine or an orange wine. I would definitely set it under the white wines on my wine list. How long was it? It was only the 7-day maceration, that one. So, but it was all then fermented with not indigenous yeast. So the skin contact almost sort of like not fell apart, but sort of like dusts away. They sort of explained to me, the producer. I do like the Austrian wines. I'm looking to get some more Austrian wines for the wine list and doing an Australian tasting, which will be quite good. But
very cool, very cool. Yeah, and we'd already, I think we'd had the food, which we'll talk about afterwards, maybe on the plate by then. So that was a lovely one to just keep the palate nice and fresh, and it's kind of had that nice texture as well that I guess was coming through from some of that skin contact.
I think
another winner.
Producer Beck, they always aim for that sort of like light flesh, floral, the beginning of a meal type wine, which was why I thought it was quite fitting before you had your food, or just as it arrived.
Yeah. Amazing. And then we ended up, as you say, with the Georgian wines, right? We kind of back to the cradle of wine.
Yeah, definitely. So on my wine list, obviously, I've got a Georgian section with one producer, the Tibovino producer, which is one of the oldest producers in Georgia. And I actually write on the wine list, where it all began, because I like to be, a little bit edgy on my wine list. And I get people asking all the time, is it because this building is Georgian? And I'm thinking, it is Georgian, you're right, but no, that's not why. And then
that Georgian.
And then the wine nerd comes out of me, and then I talk about that ancient world is actually where wine began, over in Persia and Lebanon and Turkey and Georgia, especially Georgia. And I actually love this producer. It's really, really good. And as you call it, what did you call it? The Arcats. Over in America. It's
some of these Georgian wine names are pretty difficult to pronounce. There's one called Riccazzatelli, and it's known as Arcat over in New York.
But so that's the orange wine I gave you, the Arcatiatelli, and it's between 5 and 12 month skin contact, and that's during fermentation, which sort of gives it that great texture and sort of like marmalade-y, sort of floral chamomile kind of texture to it. Really, really good. But then this is done in the amphora, which is obviously what Georgia is famous for, hidden deep in the ground to sort of create their own wine cellar. Because essentially, that's in my opinion, I wasn't there at the time, but I think that's where the wine cellar came from. Really, I mean, I like to think so anyway. That everyone used to see all France and New World wine, France, Italy, Spain. You know, they're sitting on the shoulders of ancient world wine, essentially. And so when they created their cellars, they were probably imagining the big amphora, big clay pots that would sit in the ground to create this sort of coldness while they were either being aged or whatnot. But so it's a great example of Georgia's, you know, most traditional style of wine. This one, it's really, really nice. It's only 18-year-old vines, but I think this was a great start. Because I've got 3 different orange wines on the menu, and it ranges between a light and floral 5-day maceration to a sort of middle Unicasella Australian, more riper fruit, but you know, 2 maceration, going all the way jumping in the deep end to the Georgian orange, which is between 5 and 12 months. And you know, so they might actually get to the winery, and then we'll be back in a year, and then before they even start to bottle anything. So it's I think that's good.
You say it's still quite a new style for a lot of people, isn't it? And I think again, it's maybe a little bit of a test. I remember giving somebody over in Madrid, suggesting they get a skin contact wine, and they saw it go into the glass, and they were like, "No, I'm not having that." You know, and it was, and you know, sometimes people they'll see that and think, "No, that doesn't look like wine to me."
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I think what you want, and I think where you can have that conversation with people and put things in context, it's like, okay, that looks different from what I might have expected, or what the wine I usually have, but I'm intrigued to try it. You know, what does that smell like? What does that taste like? I think that's
definitely
probably the people that you want, isn't it?
Orange wine is actually probably, you know, one of our top 5 sellers. And I don't, you know, I like to describe some orange wines and some natural wines as, you know, the wet forest floor or the bark of a tree. And sometimes it puts people off, but other times they're like, oh wow, yeah, let me try that one.
Gotta have that, yeah.
The funkier the better. But I think orange wines are actually less funky than natural wines, so I think that's why it's probably it's easier to sell, and people love to try different things, don't they? Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think in the sort of the, you know, the kind of running the gamut of, you know, those orange wines that have had the, you know, extended skin contact, and when you get you know, wine grapes with thicker skins, then you can actually get some, you know, quite pronounced aromas, pronounced tannins, and I think that then, and even maybe the wine that you're talking about there, the Georgian white wine, I think it for me it was better with the food as well. It went really well with the cheeses that we had, and I thought it was a perfect kind of accompaniment. So maybe that's an ideal point to just talk a little bit about the food platter that we had, and again maybe relate it back to the suppliers, and the kind of how those cheeses got onto the menu.
Yeah, definitely. So you started off with some stuffed peppers with cream cheese, actually, which I thought
were gorgeous.
Yeah, I know, they're addictive, aren't they? So,
they're so sweet.
Portion. I know. People say, "Oh, it's quite a big portion." I say, "Trust me, you'll finish them."
You time people on the food as well as the wine.
I did do. I'm going to now.
Those just would disappear, I'm sure.
Yeah, how quickly? How many people are there? So because it's quite like an oily, cheesy, cream and sweet, kind of all those flavors in one, it was quite good to go with the orange wine because it sort of creates that sort of sweetness for it. But the cheeses I actually get from local borough market. So I've got four cheese suppliers. I use Italianate for my Italian meat and cheese, and I use Neal's Yard for traditional English cheeses and the delicious brown bread crackers that you had. Love those. They're from Neal's Yard. And then I use Jimmy cheese, which is probably my favorite out of all of my suppliers, which I actually found stumbled upon when I was working with the French guys. They used the supplier because they've also got a place in sort of near Stoke Newington, the original first Jimmy cheese, and it's Swiss cheeses. So I should mention, it's all Swiss.
Okay.
Specialised in raclette and all things fondue style and that kind of thing for the winter months. But they've got a fantastic range of Swiss cheese, and they do things that are just a little bit different, really. They put the truffle in the brie and they put the truffle in the honey, and they're really intense, and everything is at least aged for 6 months, and they've got 5 different comtés and or Schlossberger and all that kind of thing. But we're actually just doing a special now for the next couple of weeks, since we are in a spooky Halloween season. I've got this blue brain, which is a cow's cheese, but it's been aged for 12 months with white and blue mold, and it looks like a brain. Honestly, if you go on our Instagram, you can see a post of it, but it's just incredible. It melts in your mouth, and it's absolutely fantastic. So we've got that as a special at the moment. But I've paired it with an orange wine actually. But the Calsarius, the more lighter floral one from Puglia, because the Falangina grape is a bit more suited anyway to that. When I was sort of like trying all these slices of brain with some different wines, it stuck out the most for me. So it was quite good. But that's probably my favourite of my suppliers, because they've always got cool things, throughout the year, which I think is really important with a wine list, to have things that go with it, and pairing all these foods, because we're specialising in cheese and meats. But and then I use the French Comté, which I use mainly for meats, but we do get a couple of cheeses from them as well. But all local from Borough Market. But I've found them through hospitality really for the last few years. It was only the Italian people that I just stumbled upon walking around Borough Market one lunchtime with Giuliano. It was quite fun actually. We were just like, where should we go? Let's try this. And it was the ones that stood out to me in terms of creativity that I picked them. Yeah, definitely.
Very cool, very cool. And our cheese suppliers a little bit like wine suppliers as well? Do they have to be sort of out there and visiting sites and showing up with samples and that sort of stuff, or
I think
you're kind of close enough to go there, I guess. But
I mean, a lot of them, when I first sort of like wanted to try a few things, I went down to Borough Market to their actual place. And I had one tasting at Tap and Bottle, but the rest I've gone sort of popped down because it's nice to be in the atmosphere, and people are, what are you trying? And then it sort of like helps them as well to sell their cheese. Not that they need it because Borough Market's so busy, but so that's basically how. But I mean, I do sort of say to suppliers that I want to pick a supplier that's going to call me randomly and say, I've got this random matured goat's cheese. They only ate grass this time of the year, that kind of thing. And so, I have sort of said that to them. And so far, that's, as I said, that's why Jimmy cheese sticks out for me, because they got that kind of creativity, and, they're always thinking of something different, and they've always got new cheeses every time I go. That's it. Keep you interested and keep you learning and busy.
Exactly. And it's I mean, I would say that, it was great to kind of, hear that all described, from your perspective. And, I definitely, I'm kind of, quite amazed really. It's like, in a relatively short period of time, it just sounds as though you've really managed to, stamp your identity, I would say, and allow the place to develop its own identity as well, which I think is brilliant. Some places never get that, but to kind of have that in that period of time is amazing. I'm curious though, like along that journey, where, was there anything in particular that you found quite difficult, that you found quite challenging, that was, was something that you've overcome, and or that is still a challenge now?
I mean, to be honest, not particularly. I was very, very lucky with, my boss just sort of said, you've got full reign to make,
Yeah.
create your own wine bar, which I was very, very lucky to do. Sometimes you go in as general manager of a place, but you've got certain things to stick by. You're in contract with certain suppliers, that kind of thing. And I was very lucky that I had a complete blank canvas, and and obviously all the experience and everything I've gained from Yuri and the French guys and stuff. And I think I just sort of already planned what I already knew in my head what I wanted. As soon as I walked in through the door, I said, I know what the place would be. So it was the main challenges have just been getting it all set up in time and making sure that, I'm one of my biggest pet hates is walking into a bar and, someone saying, oh, by the way, we don't have this, 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 and this. And for me, it was just mainly making sure that the menus were done in time, and we had everything in the fridge, and the staff knew about everything, and the product knowledge was there, and just keeping on top of that. But as I'm sure you've all know now, I like to talk and be open and chat, and very, very busy all the time, so I just keeps me on my toes. But apart from making sure things are done on time, that I've set my own timeline. It's been all right, actually. It's been okay.
Yeah, and I also I loved the way that when you were showing me around, you also were sort of in a sense you were kind of being quite future oriented, because you were talking about the bare walls that were there, and the fact that you were going to be getting sort of art in from artists that you admire, and I wonder if maybe you wouldn't mind just talking a bit about those sorts of things, the things that maybe myself or anybody who comes in there, we wouldn't notice, but maybe for you, you're like, okay, that's the next thing that I want to change, or that's what I've got sort of earmarked for that little part of the bar.
So the first two pieces of art arrived yesterday.
Amazing.
Got a very good friend who used to work at the club with me in Covent Garden, and Spanish girl called Brenda, and she's absolutely amazing. So her first pieces of art came yesterday. Very big, abstract, very crazy, sort of like seductive, spooky kind of artwork, and it's two different pieces, of one very small, one very big, of a woman in a bar. You can't tell the woman's in a bar, but she is. Brenda told me she's in a wine bar, so I'm trusting her. No, but it's absolutely amazing. And I've also got some prints being made by this girl called Hanya that my twin sister introduced me to, and she's very, very good at relaying and portraying a building, or whether and so I sort of said, do the front of Tap and Bottle from the outside, which is going to be blown up big and put straight as soon as you walk in the door. She's going to do some really nice big map of the world, and then a few of my favourite wines from the wine list are going to be sort of, pointed out on the map in like a cool, cartoonic kind of way. And then I've got some oil paintings being made by an actual baker, actually, a French. She worked in a French bakery up in Tortoridge, but she also does, baker by day, painter by night. And she does some incredible oil paintings. So she's doing some Margot boxes and some other wine boxes that she picked that she liked the look of, and she's going to do some wine style pictures. But my plan is to sort of every 6 months change a bit of the artwork up, and essentially a mini exhibition for these artists, to invite their friends down, and we can host some sparkling wine nights where we can showcase these pieces of artwork, which would be really good, because there's so many walls and different parts of such big open brick walls that should just be filled with art, I think. Definitely wine related if it can be.
Sure.
If not, no, definitely. So I've got some really, so definitely if you come by, check out the artwork up there.
That's still coming soon, and I guess also it's potentially as well, maybe people won't be buying pieces off the walls, but presumably it will maybe put people on to new artists, in the same way that I think going to somewhere like Tap and Bottle, you're open to discovering new regions and new producers, and why shouldn't the art and what's around you sort of mirror that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about, art, and I one might say that every single bottle of wine is a piece of art. So why not get that involved as well? Definitely. But it'll have that changing all the time, and like the wine list and getting these people shown and different types, because they're all such different type artists. So it's good to differentiate between them and compare them. And yeah, definitely. It's going to be exciting. Can't wait for that.
Very cool. Very cool. And I've also heard a rumor that you may be doing some conversions towards getting a cellar in bottle.
I need to. Yes, I don't know. The dream I have is huge with the potential wine cellar I'd like to put upstairs in Tap and Bottle, create this really cool private space for people to come and actually try wine and hold our masterclass as an example in that. And I'm just waiting at the moment. I'm hoping it's going to go ahead next year, so that should be really exciting. But that's all I can say for now, I'm afraid.
Top secret. We'll have to have you back on to update us next year.
Oh, absolutely, definitely.
It's been really interesting talking today, and as I say, kind of almost revisiting this kind of restaurant bar opening type episode, which I've sort of always loved, really. I really, again, kind of this idea of capturing a moment in time. We're in already October 2021, nearly in 2022, which is incredible. And I'm just wondering, when I kind of ask you now to kind of think forward into your journey, and maybe just pick out what might be some of the highlights that we might be thinking about, if we think about Tap and Bottle in sort of the next sort of 6-12 months time.
I mean, I think if what I've achieved in the last sort of 3-4 months now is sort of like just a little taster of what's about to come, then I'm very, very excited, because there's endless opportunities, endless things that can come into play with Tap and Bottle, and I can really have a play around and have some fun with the wine list and producers, and get people involved. And as I said before, I'm a bit of a social butterfly, and I like to meet people all the time, and get people coming down. And my aim is just people to get to Friday night. Where do we want to hang out? Or we want to go hang out at Alice's Tap and Bottle, that kind of thing, or meeting her team and chatting with her team. And I think that's where the next 6 months really is going to be my main focus, getting those wine buffs down and coming at the wine list. But we do have going to start doing industry drinks. I'm going to it's called Bring a Bottle. So the idea is that I get anyone in the industry that's up for coming to meet and network other people in the industry, whether you're bloggers or podcast, or you work in a wine bar, or you're a sommelier, or whatever it is, you're new to the wine world, or just wanted to have a chat with and get some opinions on a bottle of wine if you're a supplier. So I'm going to do the first one of those on Tuesday, giving people the opportunity to bring a bottle of something interesting that they want, and that'll be from 6:30 on Tuesday in the Snug, the event space upstairs, and then doing that quarterly, so that people can come back and say, I eventually didn't put that on my wine list, or I tried to find that wine for 2 months and I couldn't find it, and just overall general network and collaborate with people. And then soon, if you keep your ears peeled, I'm going to be creating a Women in Wine sort of club, a wine club for people that are either women winemakers, women producers, women suppliers, people that are running bars that are women, just all women focused, just to get some really cool people out on the map, because I've met some incredible people recently from the wine industry, and that are also really keen to, or also already doing this. So I thought I might jump on the bandwagon and join them in this Women in Wine world. So that's really looking forward to that as well.
Thanks so much, Alice. It was an absolute pleasure to have you on the podcast, and super excited to see all the things that you've got in store for Tap and Bottle into the next year. Do see below for the Tap and Bottle website and Instagram, as well as Alice's wine Instagram account at Wardy Wines. That brings the London Somm Special series to a close for now. A huge thanks to all three guests, Emma, Shane and Alice. And when you see them next in person, do let them know you heard them on Interpreting Wine. To subscribe to the podcast and be alerted when the next series goes live, head to interpretingwine.com/listen or just hit subscribe on your favourite podcast platform. And of course, I would love to have you following along with me on social media, where I'm at Interpreting Wine on Instagram and Facebook, at Wine Podcast on Twitter, and email hello@interpretingwine.com. See you next time.